Hey guys, so following on from the last lesson where we looked at how to resolve some of these kind of issues that we have with these pop simulations, I wanted to quickly look at a way to help optimize your simulation. And one thing you will notice here, if I click on this here and to get this going, I will notice that this just goes on forever and ever and ever, right? And there's a lot of points adding up here. Remember, let me go back to here. I'm going to pin this viewport, which we've looked at before. Go back into here. Now I can see how many points I've got going on here. And I can see that they're running up pretty high, right? So if I stop that and I go to the end here, okay, I'm up to 40,000 points. Now maybe I don't need to see all those points from this angle. Maybe there's a reason I can see right to the end, but let's say for example my camera is just here. I don't really need to get anything that is outside of the frame. In fact, I don't need to have anything there that's outside of the frame. It's actually just wasted calculation time. In this particular case, it doesn't matter so much because it's a very simple simulation, but as your simulations get much more complex, this is going to become a real pain in the backside. It's going to take a long time to calculate and to simulate. So in order to try to cut that down a little bit, you want to try to make it where when it cuts off out of this frame, that also the points start to cut off too. And one way to do that is if I look into my pop source, I'm going to go this way so we can see better, and I go into birth, I can see something here called life expectancy. Now what this bit here is doing is saying that these particles will exist for 100 seconds and then they will die off. Now I know of course that 2 seconds would be here of 48, 49, depends, right, 48 let's say. So I want it to cut off at this point. I don't want it to go anymore, and that's actually quite a long way as it is, right? But let's just run this, maybe just 1 second actually, 24, let's cut it off here, right? So let's go back to the beginning, let's make this just 1 second, and then I'm guessing that it's going to go to about here, and then it should cut off. So let's try that. There it goes, and then you see now it's just cutting off. So what this means is that you see it never goes above say 4,000. So if I've got my camera like this, I'm good. I don't need all of this information here, so I've just got rid of it, right? And that means my calculations now are going to be much more quick. Now another thing to look at with this, and this is a very quick thing, is I've got this life variance too. What this means is that if I for example put this 1, it will mean that each particle will exist anywhere between 0 and 2 seconds. Reason being that this is also 1. In fact, let me not have the 0. Let's make that 0.5. So now I'm going to have anything between 0.5 seconds, so half a second, and 1.5 seconds. Because remember, it varies from this life expectancy. We've also had this before when we've looked at variance with velocities. Okay, so let's take a look at this, how this goes. And I can now see that it's not quite as, it kind of filters off a bit more here. It's not quite as solid. Let's go back to the other one. You see here how it's just kind of cuts dead. And this one here is slightly better. There we go. You see how it's like, now it might be what you want, it might not be, but you certainly have that option there. Let's make that 1 second, see what that looks like. It'll go further on, but less particles will get there. And you can see there how it just kind of almost like fades off, right? And that's the variance function. So remember that's there. It is important, especially when you come to optimizing your scenes. You might want to use that. In fact, you certainly will want to use that at some point. So anyway, I hope that's useful, and you guys have a great day. All right, bye bye.